Hopefully y'all can see me while I'm going around doing this. All I have is the camera in my hand. Let's see what I can get. All right. Well, maybe I'll need one of these things too. Alright. Poor thing, you've been getting rained on all day. Alright, so there's a bunch of stuff over here in this engine that I'm really going to have to show y'all. There's some things I already know is way wrong. But before I do that, before I even bother truly digging into it, I want to see if it's going to turn over. So, I'll do that, and if it turns over, well then I'll continue on. You'll see more stuff later. For now though, it's too dark for the camera. Hope y'all are ready. Christmas morning. Got done opening up all the presents with, you know, the folks and whatnot. And now I'm back out here working on the race car. So, you can see here, there's been a little bit of a change. I took most everything off the front of this engine. I didn't bother like pulling the water pump off and everything. But I got it all stripped down. Took all the stuff off of, you know, over here on the fender, had a voltage regulator and a coil mounted. And I also pulled most of the wiring off of this thing. The only wiring that's actually connected to the engine right now is the stuff to the starter. And let me tell you, the fan wiring and the wiring to the electric water pump drive, absolutely terrible. Like, they split this off, come over here, and it's like all connected. Like, this right here was what went to the water pump drive. That's the split off here. All these cramp connectors that, hell, one just fell right out. Terrible, absolutely terrible. But the thing that just amazes me the most is the wiring that went to the ignition system on this thing. This right here was going to the negative side of the coil. From the negative side of the coil, it also pops over. You can see this very poorly done connection wraps around, and that was connected to the charging system. So this had power going to the negative side of the coil where the points are supposed to hook up to. The fact that this thing ever potentially ran is surprising to me, because the dude I bought it from, not the builder of the car. It is not the builder of the car that I bought it from. I need to specify that, you know, believe me. The dude who I bought this from is my friend. I like the dude. He did not build this car. But the people who did build it, let me tell you, they don't need to touch cars ever. Now with the valve cover off, I could show you all the first thing that I ever noticed on this car that was wrong. So one thing that needs to be known about the big block Mopar, there's two different rocker arms per side. There's a left hand and a right hand. These aren't exactly sitting centered on the valve. What happened here is that this one on the right is actually the left hand. This one on the left is actually the right hand. This entire side of the engine is done like this. I haven't pulled the other valve cover off yet to see if that's how it is, but I'm going to do that right now to just verify and, you know, see what's going on. So this side over here is actually done up fairly correctly. You can see these push rod divots are actually in line, and those valves are actually close to centered up on the rocker arms. Compare this to this. So this engine does turn over, by the way. Whenever I was messing with this thing last night, I got it to rotate over a full 720 degrees, so that way I'll be able to see, you know, once I take the carb intake and everything off, I'll be able to see if the lifters all move up and down, and we'll go from there. And we got the crusties in there. Good thing these valves aren't going to be opening at all. Slowly getting her tore down. Alright, after destroying the valley pan, I finally get to look in here and see what's going on. Nothing looks terrible right off the bat, but I don't know. Hey, that camshaft is purple! What do you know about that? I got a purple shaft. Nice. That means I'll be able to figure out what lift this is and figure out what cam I got in this thing. Sweet. I'm going to get to spinning this thing over and we'll see what I got. So this is the number 8 exhaust lifter. I pulled out every single lifter one by one, and every one of them looks exactly the same. Kind of hard to see in this camera, but you can kind of tell it's got the nice circular pattern, looks just as it should. So I haven't seen anything wrong with any of these lifters. Looks like this cam's okay. Now to just turn over the engine and see if they spin. So I went and rotated this thing over 720 degrees. Everything's looking nice. And I'm kind of thinking, looking around at the engine, trying to decide what I want to do, and I think I've got a plan. So these heads, they're the 452 heads. This one is for certain. That's 452 right there. I'm not running these heads. The 452 heads, you know, everyone says that they're great stock performers, but I'm looking for compression. So what I have is I have a set of 516 heads, you know, the ones that everyone thinks don't work too well. In the realm of what I deal with, they're going to be perfect because they already have the 165 exhaust valves put in them. They're not the full 174 that these are, but at the very least they're bigger than the 160s that came stock in those heads. They also have a 78.5 cc chamber, whereas these things are supposedly going to be around 90. I did CC the 516 heads, by the way. That's going to give me a significant bumping compression, which this engine's going to need. Now, regardless of what kind of pistons, what bottom end this thing has, I'm looking for compression. If I have to run race gas, I have to run race gas. I'm fine with that. So I'm going to get to pulling these heads, figuring out what I have. I'm basically going to take all these valve springs, retainers, keepers, and everything and swap them onto my 516 heads because they already have valves in them. I'll do a little bit of port work and then throw those on here. While that's going on, this entire engine bay is going to get cleaned up. I mean, it's pretty filthy. The only reason I don't have a shop vac out here is because I don't have enough extension cord to get from my house all the way out to here where this car's at. So with that, I'm going to get to pulling heads. So in lieu of a shop vac, I decided to come out here and mess with the wiring. There's a lot of poor wiring done on this car. Everything's like twisted together, soldered up all terribly. Like everything's like this. So I'm gonna be stripping everything out of the car that's, you know, done by someone else. It's so bad. So I'm gonna get to that. I think I'm gonna end this video here. Everything else that I can do today since it's Christmas is just stripping wiring back. There's so much red wire everywhere in this car. I mean, like, look at all this. There's nothing but red wire there. Got the spark plugs out of the engine. I'm gonna have to rewire pretty much everything on this car. I may not have to do the headlights. That looks like it might be factory, but even the taillights have been rewired shoddily. Like, it's just absolutely terrible. Turns into a bunch of red wire. Back here it's a bunch of black wire. The plugs are all set up in weird ways. It's bad. The wiring's bad. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to finish off the rest of my day by stripping wiring. So I'm going to go ahead, call it quits for the video for today. Hope you all halfway enjoyed my rambling ons. And if you did, well, hope to see you on the next one, because there will be more installments on this car. Well, isn't it just quaint?